unmute myself. You supposedly can hear me. That's good. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to this webinar. This is the first of the webinar series promoted by the Discover Us project, that is the topic that you'll hear about today. Beside the title, Discover Us, you see that there is a long title on this first slide, which is a very long mouthful thing that you can read for yourself without me, pronouncing all of the words in it. But the essence is that Discover Us is a collaboration effort. And it is a place in which the actors in the project, that is, the three persons that you'll hear from today and others that collaborate with them, will create opportunities for research collaboration with people working in the US for the National Science Foundation, NSF, on fundamental research, which means, pre-competitive research around distributed computing, swarm intelligence, and in fact, in a single, resounding word, the continuum of computing. That is to say, the bringing of cloud principles of dynamic resource-pooled, web-enabled computation also to the edge of a network, including, of course, AI. You'll hear more about this in a moment. So this webinar has three parts. Beside this short introduction, in the first part, we'll hear from the coordinator, Koen De Bosschere, that will give you an idea what the project does in terms of what the objectives are, what the expectations are, what the timeline are, and in what moment this project, which is a coordination and support action, does something which will be of direct benefit to you people out there. Second, you hear from Marc Duranton, and Marc will give you, the rationale of why we are here speaking about the topics of this Discover Us action and how they relate to the HiPEAC vision. So there is a direct relation between the two things. And last, you'll hear from me some, more provocation, technical provocation, at least we hope they would be, on how we understand and how we anticipate the continuum. You see in the slide also the members, the partners, not the members, the partners of the Discover Us project. Ghent University is the prime, the lead contractor. Then we have CA in France, Sintef in Norway, BSC, Barcelona Supercomputing Center in Spain and in Catalonia, if you like, and then University of Padua in Italy. If you people have questions, and we would like you to have questions, please use the Q&A panel for writing your questions. You do that asynchronous anytime you would like. You write them, so asynchronous to the presentation flow, and we will take them. I will be looking at the panel of Q&A, and if a question is to be answered immediately, we would ask the speaker at the moment to answer that immediately. Otherwise, we'll take them at the end of the presentation. We plan to finish the presentation in 45 minutes, not from now, 4:45, and we plan to finish this webinar no later than 5 p.m. So that is the introduction to that, and now we transition the presentation to item 1, Koen De Bosschere, the coordinator.
Thank you, Tullio. I will share my screen. Like this. We would like to announce at this moment that there is a recording being made from this webinar, so just for you to know that this recording will also be made available after the webinar. So my name is indeed Koen De Bosschere from Ghent University, and I'm the coordinator of this project. This project is a coordination and support action. This is one type of European project that does this kind of work. It started 2 months ago. It will run for 30 months. It has a budget of €1 million, 5 partners, and also 3 staff members. There's Vicky Wandels, who will do the project management, Maddie Gray, who will do the communications, and Eneko, who is the technical officer, and he's supporting us, for instance, today in this webinar. This is also strongly linked to HiPEAC. HiPEAC is a European network in computing, exists for 20 years. And so this community will run this project, basically. We have a logo. You already have seen it in the opening slide. And in the logo, we wanted to have a reference to HiPEAC, to the European flag, but also to the American flag, of course, because it's about collaboration between the two. And so Eneco came up with this proposal where you see the red stripes, you see the blue of the HiPEAC logo, you see the yellow accent that you will also see in the HiPEAC logo, and here you see a D and a U. And this is Discover Us, so it is an invitation for the American colleagues to discover us here in Europe. It's also an invitation to our own European colleagues to discover the US, the USA. So it can be read in two different ways. It is a project, so it has objectives, and we call it, in this case, coordination and support measures. So what are we going to do to reach the goals and the targets of this project? So we want to do a vision building, and we want to do this through common initiatives and workshops that we will organize. We want to do networking, so bringing the people together, and especially people active in the project, in the European project or a nationally funded project here in Europe, and also people, colleagues in the US who are active in an NSF-funded project. So we would like to bring the project that do similar work together in the networking activities in the context of this project. And then we will fund research collaboration through research programs, and this will go in both directions. So this project will fund the European researchers who want to visit the American colleagues, and the NSF is going to fund the American colleagues who want to come and visit us here in Europe. And then there is also dissemination of results, of course, and also community management, which is another word for trying to find people who will work with us. We call them the members, but I will explain that later. So we have actually the 4 pillars here: vision building, networking, research collaboration, and community management. And there are also topics that we will work on. And here you see the 4 topics that also appeared in the call document. So managing complexity through high levels of abstraction, new concepts for distributed computing, intelligent things, swarm intelligence, then AI-based concepts for adaptive management. So that's another item. And then at the end, we would also like to see collaboration on frameworks and software development tools, because if we develop them together, we can both use them. So that's also an easy way to collaborate. So some keywords here are computing continuum, distributed computing, swarm intelligence. It's a project, so it has work packages. The first work package is cooperative networking, where we will organize networking events, 2 per year, and also a training event, which is a summer school. And we will also have monthly webinars, and this one is the very first one that we are officially doing in this webinar series. From all that networking, we will try to collaborate to work on a vision with the members together, try to draft a common vision for this kind of research and what we would like to do in this project. So this will happen through coordination meetings, but that's more between the European Commission and the officials of the National Science Foundation in the US, but also through a number of vision workshops. And the first one will take place in a couple of months. And from this vision work, development will follow a white paper, and that white paper will steer us in the calls and the evaluations that we will implement. And 3 calls, and then of course the exchanges, the actual exchanges will take place. There's also the management part, and then we will do communication and dissemination about the results that follow from the vision work, but also from the exchanges. There's the project management, but also the community building. And that's the community we would like to build here in this project to work with, and in the vision work and also in the exchanges. We have been thinking about membership, and this is the kind of profile we are looking for. So we are looking for members from the that are active researchers and also in academia in some cases, but they have to be interested in pre-competitive research collaboration. Not the development of products, etc., not the higher TRL levels. It has to be pre-competitive. And also they have to be based either in Europe or in the United States. And we are aiming for 50% of the members from the US and 50% of the members from the EU. So that's what we are aiming for. Membership is free, so that's easy, but the members have to accept the members' charter, and the members' charter says three things. First of all, we expect our members to be active in one of the activities that we are doing once per year. So this could be attending an in-person event, this could be attending a webinar, organizing a webinar, participating in the vision workshop, doing an exchange. There are many things that people can do, but if you are a member, you have to be active. We also expect, we will publish a public profile of you on the website so that people know that you are officially a member of this project. And then you will also be added to the Discover Us mailing lists, which means that we will reach out to you by email with calls and information and everything that you need to know as a member. And then once you are a member, you are entitled to participate in all the activities that we are doing, the vision workshops where you can help us with the white paper. Also, you can visit a colleague in the US once, maybe even twice, exchanges and everything. So that's what you can do then once you are accepted as a member in the project. This is a timeline for the first year. So here you see the work packages, cooperative networking, vision exchanges, and the management. And here you see the month. So this is 2024. So at this moment, we are actually focusing on community building. And this webinar is an attempt to attract members in our community. And so we are aiming by the end of April for something like 50 to 70 members in the community, half of them from Europe, half of them from the US. It's a challenging job, but we're going for it, and we hope we will be successful because we need these members for the first vision workshop that we will organize in June already. And in that workshop, we are hoping to get something like 30, 40 people in one place for a couple of days to brainstorm about the challenges in our domain and also to come up with the ideas that we will put down in the white paper. We already know the date of the workshop. It will be from the 24th, it's Monday to Wednesday, 24th, 26th of June, 2024 this year. It will be in Italy. We are still negotiating with some hotels, but as it looks now, we will probably rent a complete hotel, a small hotel where we can all stay in private rooms. And so there's of course a meeting room, but there's also a pool, and in the evening we can continue our discussions near the pool over a glass of wine. So that's the kind of event that we would like to organize. It's a bit comparable to what some people know as the Dagstuhl events that are organized in Germany, but at a smaller scale and in a different place. So once we have the workshop, we will publish officially the white paper at the end of the year in December. But in the meantime, it will also be used to open a first call for exchanges, and that call will stay open for 3 months. And then in October, it will close, and then we do the evaluation, and eventually the people who submitted the proposal will be notified, and then in 2025 they will be able to do the exchange. There are also networking events. So we got one in Munich, a kick-off event 2 months ago, and the next one will be in June, but that will coincide with the vision workshop. So if you bring together 40 people, it's also a networking opportunity. So we think that being in that workshop is beneficial because you might meet several colleagues from the US, and they might also meet you. And that's just in time to submit a proposal for an exchange, for instance, because the call will open just a few weeks after the workshop. But there's another one. There is also a summer school, which will take place in July, where you can also meet colleagues and also brainstorm. That's an event over a full week. It's actually part of the well-established HiPEAC summer school Agassiz, which runs for almost 20 years. And this is the program of last year. We're currently finalizing the program for this year. And in this summer school, you can make your own program by picking one course per slot. And there are 4 slots on the day you take your course, 1 out of 3. So there are actually 3 tracks, I would say, in the summer school if you would take these courses. And so what we would like to do is also to create a Discover Us track in the summer school, so that people interested in the Discover Us topics, they will be able to take 4 courses and to interact with the other participants who might also be members of Discover Us by that time, or maybe are ready to join Discover Us. So this was a picture of last year. You see in the front that even we have very young participants also in this summer school, just a few. And then also the webinars. So today we have the first one, and next month, from now on, every month you will get an invitation, or the members will get an invitation, and also the HiPEAC members to join this webinar. It's an open webinar. And then there are the coordination meetings with the NSF, but that's something more of an administrative nature. Next year, everything continues. But the most important things for the community are the 2 calls that we will launch for exchanges also in 2025. And there's a networking event planned in June, and we are planning to organize this in the US to also have an event in the middle of our US members of this project. And then the last year, there is a final event. We will, of course, showcase what we realized in this project. So this brings me to the last part of my introduction. So this is the website. The website has this URL, discover-us.eu. And here we have a number of tabs like membership. And when you click on membership, you will see the membership charter, the benefits of the member, that it is free, everything that I have explained here. But important here is, apart from describing the membership, you also have a tab becoming a member. And if you click on that one, here you can apply for membership, your name, your affiliation, the country where you live in, your email, contact information, then your motivation, and then the CV, and then the steering committee will check whether you comply, you fulfill the criteria to become a member. And if so, you will get a message that you are from then on an official member of this project. And then you can fill out your profile for the website, and you are all set to participate in this project. So what we are wanting is members who are active researchers for the EU-US research program. So this is what I had to share with you about the project.
Thank you very much, Koen. Now we move on to a second part with this Marc.
Yes. So, do you see my screen now?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I will try to explain you what are the topic that the scientific topic that we want to follow in Discover Us. So, of course, this is first idea and first direction, because we need to have the workshop that we will have in Italy in June, and to have the white paper to more concretize this. But we will start with a vision of the future of H2 cloud, HPC computing continuum. So this is a topic where, so if you are working in this domain or related to this domain, then Discover Us should be a very good framework for you to develop your ideas, and in collaboration with the other partner of Discover Us. So let's start with the global idea that could encompass all the more technical direction that we would like to go. And this is called, what we call for the time being, the next computing paradigm, because, well, we didn't find a better name. So this is after the web, after a cyber physical system, after the cloud, after Internet of Things, digital twin, continuum of computing, metaverse, artificial intelligence. We think that the next evolution will be a convergence of the key elements of all previous technologies to define this next computing paradigm that I will abbreviate with NCP. So what are the observations that drive us into this direction? So we see that we have more and more data that will are already generated by interconnected machine to create new services. So typically the vision is that we will need to have an integration of the web of machine with the web of human. So you will see that now most of the web is human to human or human to machine, but we will have also machine to machine. So this is the goal, to have this more smooth integration. The second point is machines are not only computers, but there are also physical machines like drones, like car, like robots, like machine in a factory. So that means that this machine that will be more and more intertwined with the physical world. They need to cope with the constraints of the physical world, like latency, like safety, like location, and things like that. So, for example, a self-driving car will not have the same behavior if it's running in Belgium or if it's driving in UK. So location has an impact on his way to drive. And also, we see that the digital twin are also an important point to be able to modelize a complex system and also to improve the performance. And you could see that that digital twin are in fact a model of the physical world, but they allow to have access to variables that are not accessible in the physical world. For example, because it's too complex to put a sensor into this location, or to be able to deal with variables that we cannot play in the physical world, like time. So with digital twin, we can make forecasts. So we could go in the future, or we could go in the past to analyze what is going on. And this will be more and more used in this global environment. So I say that that the machine will be interacting with the physical world, so not only with the non-functional property, but also with physical property into the 3D dimensions. So again, a drone didn't have the same properties than it's flying over a field or over a city. So the context will change depending where the device is. So it's important now that in the system, you have all this information about the location, about the timing, and about the ride that you have when you are in different location. So it's what we say that this is a 4D computing. And the core of this idea is of the next computing paradigm is that this is an extension of the idea of everything is a service. So all computing devices, all function will be in fact represented as a services that will be interconnected. So if I take the example of a smart sensor in your room that is sensing the temperature, if it's only providing the service of providing temperature, yeah, it's useful, but you cannot do a lot of things if you don't know as well when this temperature was taken on the location. So you need to know also where this sensor is. So again, going back to the 4D. And we think also that the next application, the next program will be in combination of all these services. For computing people, that could be similar to what we see today with Python. So Python is more a glue between services that are provided by libraries. So we want to, so the idea is to extend this to all computing devices. So computing could offer a service of providing computing power, or providing a memory or storage, or providing a service to book a room, for example, in a certain country, and so on. So the idea is that next application will be the combination of all these services, depending to some criteria given by the users. So it's also why the non-functional properties that we see before are very important, because these properties could be latency, for example. It could be also the location. It could be also the price for a service and things like that. So we are looking for a way to have some kind of universal description of these functional and non-functional properties so that we could easily be able to match them, to orchestrate them. And the last element, of course, is orchestrating system, so the smart orchestrator, which according to your requirement, which select which service they will be using. So sometimes you want to have a short latency, so then you could perhaps for this to be able to use a paid service. So sometimes you don't care about the latency, so you could use free services on the other side of the world. Sometimes you want to deal with private data, so then you need a service that is local, that could be inside your computer or in your company or in your home. So all this is should be selected according to the to this. And of course, we need a smooth interface for the user. So then this orchestration will be done in a natural way, not necessarily with writing a line of code. So we see that the a new evolution of artificial intelligence and large language model and large action model could be a step in this direction. Let's illustrate this also with another characteristic which is very important, is sustainability. We need to have in mind that all this technology should be built in a mind of a circular and sustainable economy. So illustrate this with some sketch. So you see that the physical world is dealing with a lot of applications. So now we have quite vertical stack, silos. So for example, all your home system are using one set of API, which is not the same necessarily for a smart grid or for a smart city or for an electric car, but it's merging all this, having some kind of universal representation that here you could again added power, because for example, to avoid the peak hour, so to save money, you could ask to your electric car to provide energy to your home during this peak hour. So here, that means that you need to have communication between smart grid system, smart home, and your smart car. So all these physical worlds are generating or dealing with physical quantities that are done with sensor, actuator, and this is the frontier, the skin between the physical and the system that we are trying to do, where it gets data from the physical world and generate action to this. And of course, we have a notion of security, so secure exchange should be taken into account. And this is this idea that every function is a service. So you will have all these local, distributed, decentralized resources and services. So using smart, swarm, federated, a cloud, a fog, a cloud, or even existing cloud that have some properties to be able to manage, to collect, to store all these services. So also with some kind of self-discovery, self-management, self-repair, so all the self-X functionalities. So as I said before, the characteristic of all this ecosystem is to be able to make a dynamic construction of application from these distributed services. And I say the location is important, but should not be relevant in terms of the API and in terms of communication. So that means that this service could be a remote or local with a similar way to interact. We should have a description and should be able to deal with the non-functional requirement like time, latency, locality, energy requirement, privacy, cost, and so on, using some high-level abstraction, of course, because this is needed. And you see in the name of Discovery Us, we have this very important of working on this high-level abstraction in a trustable and secure way. So with all the deal with authentication, encryption, and so on. And the idea also that not only you should be able to move data like today, but also to move services. So if you have a service that you could move locally, if it's needed for privacy, you should be able also to move these services. So migration of code is also important. And the idea, of course, is that not to reinvent the wheel, but all things should be built on top of existing technology like IP protocol, REST, spatial web proposal, and things like that. So the core and the orchestration will be this meta-level OS. And for us, OS is not an operating system, but an orchestrating system that should be done on a trusted computing base and could store locally as a private data for safety and privacy. So, and also having, because of this idea of federation swarm, also having an idea of collaboration between all these services and orchestrators that should be able to run on the one or several edge hardware. So when you have this swarm of services, of distributed services, but previously I also talk about a digital twin, so modelization of some part of the physical world that could have a very nice property for prediction, for maintenance, for analysis of the physical thing. And one also important thing is that the API, the interface between the distributed service and this digital twin should be similar to the one that we have with physical service, so that we could have an interoperability, let's say, or exchange between real and digital twins. So we have few ideas here on how to build this. I think I don't have time to enter into detail, but this could be a start of discussion of the brainstorm that we will have in June, or also of the white paper. So this could be discussed and totally modified, but we think that, for example, we could have as a service plane build on existing infrastructure layer using HTTP, IP protocol, WebRTC for real-time thing, using a distributed orchestration system with B authentication. So why it's B? Because when you are providing a service, you need to tell to the people that request your service that you are the genuine one. And also, you need also to know at some level to whom you are talking. You need to have a data layer and, of course, application layer. So all this will be interconnected, either locally or with communication networks to this, let's say, orchestration and control plane, where the key element is this orchestration part. And of course, if you have real time, you need to make a schedule, you need to take care about security, to discover services, and so on. And of course, this could be done also with what we see as emerging in the domain of artificial intelligence on crew AI and autogen are some steps into this orchestration part of function. So now it's more of functionalities, not really of services. But we saw this shows that this idea should be realizable in the coming years. And of course, to have an interface in natural way with user like humans. So what are the first ideas that we have for this next computing paradigm is really this idea of having interoperability. So really working towards this 4D compatibility use case scenario. So between this spatial and time-aware computing. So for example, it could be to merge the HTTP REST-like web protocol with spatial web protocol like HSML and HTTP or OpenUSD, even if they are not at the same level. So augmenting all these protocols so that they guarantee time delivery for any granularity of time. So this is this time part of the 4D. And also how to deal with contract-based specification that allow composition and interoperability, and also this idea of trust with authentication and things like that. So it could be how starting from WebAssembly, which allow to have execution on the migration of code onto variable host, but also to have execution of sandbox in transit computation. So to also have this idea of trust and security. And really the key is this paradigm of not only moving data, but also to move computation according to the requirements. So to really see the best balance between all the non-functional and functional criteria, such as latency, data freshness, and energy requirements. And really how to assemble this into swarm-like. That means opportunistic, dynamic, and mobile aggregation of these services. Of course, the service will run on the compute node. So that means that either you move the services to new compute node or to aggregate them. So this is a new set of challenge that are here. So this is really the first idea. As you see, it's quite large, and this is this high-level abstraction that could lead to standard that we have as a first idea for discoverers. But of course, we could also cope with more practical demonstrations. So for having it, we need to have a demonstration of orchestrator to really show that, and think about application and why not business case. So that's to promote all this idea. So this is mainly the core today of Discover Us, is thinking in this part. And of course, this is just a first proposal. So we need to have your input into the workshop that we will have to see what technology is it, how we could achieve some similar goal. So that's what I wanted to present as a first idea, to give you some idea where at the end we could end up, or what are the long-term direction of the technology that could be developed in the scope of Discover Us. And Tullio will be more pragmatic, more in the short-term explanation of this. So I will unuse the mic, Tullio.
Right, thanks, Marc. Let's use the final 6 minutes before it is 4:45 to wrap it up a little bit. Let me share my screen again. So from Marc, you had the grand vision with lots of challenges in them, and hopefully it is compelling in the sense that it motivates to operate and collaborate along this vision. Now I would like to tease you a little bit with something, that are, although they are big research questions, they are a little bit more specific. So you see 3 research questions listed here, and hopefully you have opinions about them, personal opinions about them, research-based opinions about them. So one is, that there is this mention of the compute continuum, that the US side formulation of that, of the continuum of computing. What is the value of that? Why is it interesting? Is just, is somebody's personal passion, or else? You see that a possible answer is that the benefit, the return of working on and finding solutions to the compute continuum is really to extend into the edge side of a network, where the users are in practice and their own devices, some of the important and innovative cloud principles of computation that are in particular resource pooling and everything as a service. So those two things we claim would be revolutionizing the way the edge devices would operate. The second question there is a research question. It's not a question out there in the air. Is you heard from Marc the consideration that in the continuum of computing, you really would expect computation to move, not just data to move. Now, moving computation is not something entirely new, but what we would like to have happen is that computation moves also towards the edge devices, which are resource constrained. And therefore, you would like to have there an execution infrastructure that allows this migration and allows to have sandboxing and allows it to have all of the communication capabilities that would be needed for something which is collaborative. So that the motivation for having computation move, you heard it from Marc, and I think it is very sound and solid. The notion that it is data to travel towards computation is, of course, is what we have seen in the last and years for a big N, but that's not the only direction of movement that you can have. You know, there are reasons why data stay in one place, and it is computation that move. You may be familiar with the notion of federated learning, for example, and in federated learning, which is one way of coping with the fact that data, which would be useful for training models, are not going to be shared physically. They stay wherever the data are, and therefore it is the learning that has to move. So that is one of the many examples that can be brought forward for why computation would have to move. So we'd have to find solutions to that end that make it appropriate, affordable, and performant. Number three, it is rather obvious, at least we think it is, that the computation that you would have moving towards the edge in the continuum is not monolithic. It really makes no sense. It has got to be a constellation of collaborating things, computing bundles. And this collaboration has got to be orchestrated. And because we believe that resource pooling is really dynamic, you're not giving away your compute resources, your storage resources for a long time, you only give them opportunistically, then of course this resource pooling is dynamic and this is to be handled. And the orchestrations, which means the constellation of collaborating compute bundles, are of course ephemeral. They are here, there now, and they disappear next because they're only there for a particular purpose and they are there for a particular space location. Now, regarding the task like members of Discover Us to take, we would find these four important themes on which we would like to have people think, have people research, have people share thinking. And you see the headings, edge level containerization, runtimes that can be hosting mobile computation and orchestration there. Of course, the super important way or direction for having AI at the edge in figuring out what would be useful value-added continuum-enabled applications so that once you enable the continuum, we do something that is really reaping value from that. And finally, under the term swarm, which is in the big title of Discover Us, we have this ability to self-organize so that this orchestration is even the product of a computation. It is not is preordained, decided orchestration. So this is also very much swarm-like. So these are some of the challenges, some of the directions. These four that you see here will be very present. They are present in the foundation of Discover Us, and will make it more and more visible in the preparation to the vision workshop that Koen and Marc mentioned, going to take place at the end of June, in a few months from now. So it is now 45 seconds past 4:45, which is where we promised we would stop presenting and would give room for questions if you have. Hopefully you do have. I do have a last thing to show you is that This is only, again, a teaser that shows how this can be done. This is a little element of a prototype that we already have in-house, which shows that with existing technology, which is WebAssembly, and a runtime for it, it is possible to have computation migrate across edge nodes as well as cloud nodes, in case you want to be on a more robust environment down in the center. So something is already possible now. Not all of that is, and many other things are also desirable to be added. To conclude, this webinar is coming to an end, except that there is room for questions. And then there is the next one scheduled on the 22nd of March, 4 p.m., same as today. You see the speaker, and you see it will be the Codeco project that will be reporting on their findings, of their motivation. And the Codeco project is very much in the scope, if you like, of Discoverers. And then in a TBD date, and the date will be decided by agreeing it with the speakers, in April, in about 1 month from the previous one, we'll have another project reporting on what we do that fits within the Discoverers context and vision. And this is ending my presentation, and now I'm looking at the Q&A question and answers panel for questions that have to be posted. You participant in this webinar are muted, not by violence, but because the protocol is that you write your questions, if you have any, in the Q&A panel, so that you can take it from there. If any of you would like to use voice to deliver the questions, you write it in the Q&A, and then we ask, the technical person to give you mic control, voice control. The 3 questions that are there already, I think I can table them one by one. Let me start from one that just came now, so that we take it last in, first out. And the question that came in is whether the membership, so we understood from Koen what the membership is. It's individuals that say, we sign on to the charter of Discoverers, and as a benefit, we hear from the activities of Discoverers. We hear first, we take part in some of the activities, and we may candidate ourselves for research grants. So the question is whether the membership is individual or organization, and the answer is individual. You can be a researcher, whether from a company, research center, or academia, and you are an individual. It's not a company-based. So that is the simple answer, and then Koen may have more to add on this. Then there are 3 more questions, and perhaps, Koen, do you want to add anything to this question on is membership individual organization? I should have satisfied with my answer to that.
Yes. Okay.
You're satisfied. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me move on. Another question is whether how really is this working only for European members in the EU and within the scope of this grant to the action, really, or it is also how does it work for US members? Koen in part answers. Perhaps Koen, you want to comment on this?
Yeah. Well, formally, as a European project, we can only support European members. So that's one thing. So if one of our members wants to go to the United States, he or she will submit a proposal. We will rank it. If approved, then they will get the money to travel to the US. So just to give you an idea, an exchange, it can be anything. But what we had in mind when drafting the proposal was that somebody would go to the US for 1 month, typically, and then return. So we will not pay a salary, but we will pay all the expenses that have to do with the flights and staying locally in a hotel, whatever, and the meals, etc. So travel and subsistence we will cover, but we can only cover this we will only cover this for the European beneficiaries. For the American beneficiaries, there will be a similar scheme, but it will be paid by the National Science Foundation. And there is an instrument that they will use for that. It's called the so-called DCL. So that's actually a call in which they can, if they are beneficiaries of an NSF project, they can get extra money to travel, and they will be allowed to use that money to travel to events that we are organizing, to send people to the vision workshop, but also to visit some researchers here in Europe. And whether that will be 1 month or more, I don't know. That's up to the NSF to decide. But normally we expect that the regulation will be similar to what we have. So also about 1 month to come to Europe, and then to go back. So that's, but there's more information that we need from the NSF, how they are going to organize it. We know that they are working on it as we speak to get everything in place. They have been negotiating a memorandum of understanding together with the European Commission, for instance. They already have the money in place. They only have to launch the call, as far as I understand at this moment.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Koen. There is another question to which we already answered, in fact. And the question was whether you have to be a member of university to benefit from the grants that the deliverers will offer. And the answer we gave it already. It's not. You have to be in a research position, that can also be in a research center or even in a company. But this requires not carrying out a product or attempted to make a commercial activity. This is pre-competitive research. So as long as you fit that bill, that would be in the context and in the scope of Discover Us. There is a third question along those lines, which is, can I be a grantee? That is to say, can I be given a grant, a research collaboration grant by Discover Us without being a member? And again, this is a simple question for Koen to answer. And I can also, shortcut the answer. And it is, we want you to become a member. If you want a grant, it is because you heard about what we do, what Discover Us wants, and you've been participating actively in vision creating activities, and therefore, you implicitly become a member. And in fact, we would like you to become not just implicitly, but explicitly.
And technically this can, because the call will stay open for 3 months. So if you have an idea after 3 weeks that you would like to do an exchange, you just you prepare your proposal, you apply for membership in parallel, it will be granted, and by the time that you submit it, you will be a member. Yeah.
All right, and then we are not having questions as such. We are having observations that there are people working in SMEs that are research oriented, that are looking into something which is very much in the scope and in the stream of Discover Us. That is certainly a good basis, because we are wanting to carry out some of these ideas that we mentioned, but also other ideas that are coming from neighboring projects. The 2 webinars that are coming in March and in April are in fact existing projects that are not Discover Us, but that are doing something that might really in touch with what Discover Us is doing, and therefore we also want to hear from them, and not only hearing from them, but possibly having technical discussions and making sure that we converge on a common vision. So Discover Us is fundamentally a federator. It's not a seclusion. We only want to speak our own language and stuff. Okay. This, I believe, is addressing all of the questions and comments that we've seen in the Q&A panel. Let me see if there is anything more to come. No, I don't see anything. And we are 5 minutes ahead.
I could perhaps add one thing, is that people from that are making research in SME are welcome to participate to the discussion and to the white paper. Of course, they will not be entitled for the travel grants.
So,
super.
Tullio, there are also some questions in the chats.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Illegal.
No, it's not illegal.
It's not illegal.
So there was a question about the European beneficiary should be an EU citizen or can also be a non-European citizen doing research in EU-funded project in the EU. Yes. So if you are working, if you are living in Europe, you're working in Europe, but you are not, you don't have the French nationality, for instance, but you're Asian, that's perfectly possible. So all the rules that apply to European project, if you can participate and being paid by European project, you can also participate in this project and being reimbursed, yes.
Excellent. Okay, so I was too rude in saying, questions asked in the chat were illegal. I'm for illegality, but never mind. Excellent. So let's give one more chance to anybody having questions or in one way or another, means via the Q&A panel or the chat panel. Otherwise, I believe we fit within the time. I hope that you people had an interesting 56 minutes, almost 57, and there will be more. And as I said, Discover Us is running and will be posting information. We will be building the basis for the workshop in June. And the workshop in June will be for people that have become members and are promising to make useful contribution there. Excellent. So thank you very much for being there. Koen mentioned that at the beginning that this webinar has been recorded so that it can be replayed by those who have been here but miss out something, but it can also be streamed by those that were unable to participate but would like to hear more. Super. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day, whatever the day it is for you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.